so here we have a few more problems, and we're solving equations still, and this one is not ready. It looks factored, but there's not a 0 on the other side, so we have to basically FOIL all this together. So we're going to have a d squared. Outside is negative 5d. Inside is negative 10d. Plus a 50 minus a 6. Okay, so I'm taking away the 6 from both sides, equals 0. So when I get that all situated, it's d squared minus 15d when I put the two d's together, and then a 50 minus 6 is 44, equals 0. Okay, again, this is one of our little easier ones, dd. 411 certainly looks like what that's going to be, so I'm going to say same sign, both negative, which means I am adding the 411 to get the negative 15 equals 0. So now my solutions would be d is 4 and d is 11. If I plug in d is 4, just to check that one, I get 4 minus 10 is negative 6. And then I plug in the 4 here, and I get 4 minus 5 is negative 1. And negative 6 times negative 1 does equal 6. And the 11 should also work. This one looks a little weird, and it is a little tricky, because one of the biggest things that students have a struggle with is they see that there is a 3 and a g on both sides. Now, there is no problem whatsoever with dividing both sides by the 3. That's not a problem. But there is a problem with dividing both sides by the g, because you will lose a solution. So instead, what it's best to do is just take 3g squared plus 18g is 0. Just bring everything over to one side. Then you can factor out the 3g and be left with a g plus a 6 equals 0. So now you have it factored, and you can set each factor equal to 0. 3g is equal to 0, which means g is 0. Okay, so g is 0 is a solution, and g is also negative 6. When you set this one equal to 0, you get two solutions. Now, can you see, if you had divided both sides by g, you would have lost this solution completely, and you would have gotten the problem wrong. Okay, so you can see, of course, where the g is equal to 0 makes both sides go to 0, but the negative 6 makes this 36 times 3, and this makes this one negative 8 times negative 6, and they both wind up equaling the same thing. Negative 18 times negative 6. Sorry about that. All right, so here, what a mess. Okay, so we have all of this mess with no 0 on one side, so we're just going to distribute everything out again. So we got a 6n squared plus 12n, and then is equal to negative 7n plus 7. So now we're going to bring out everything on the left. 6n squared plus 12n plus 7n minus 7 equals 0. 6n squared plus 19n minus 7 equals 0. Okay, so now I finally have it all out. And notice this is one of the harder ones to factor, because there is no greatest common factor, and I have got several options over here. But notice with the 7, I still only have one option with the 7. So what I'm going to do, just because I've used up all my space, is I'm going to erase this line and this line, and I'm going to factor this. Okay, so the 7, there's only one option. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the 7 and the 1. I've got my 0 on one side. So when I'm looking at this one, I'm looking at 6, 1 or 3, 2. Okay, and I've got opposite signs. So one's going to be plus, one's going to be minus. The difference is going to give us 19. Okay, so if I plug in the 3 here and the 2 here, then I get 21 and 2, and I'm getting a difference. So if I make the 21 positive and the 2 negative, and then I throw in my n and my n for the n squared, then don't I have it factored? It's already done. Okay, so foil it together to check, but it looks like it's good. So now when I set this equal to 0, I get n is -7/2. And then over here, I get n is 1/3. Okay, when I set them equal to 0, that's what I get. So I have two solutions, and if I plug them in, it should make the original equation true. Okay, so now this one's not so bad because we have, this is actually a higher degree. This is cubic because I've got a 4y times a y squared. So it's a y cubed form, but it's not a problem because they've already factored out part of it for me. So all I have to do is factor the rest. So we'll have 4y plus 3. And then we're going to have a y and a y in the next one. 63 is 9 times 7. The difference is 2. So if I put a positive 9 and a negative 7 and set it all equal to 0, that means that each one of these factors is equal to 0. And my solutions are -3/4 and a -9 and a +7. So those are my three solutions down at the bottom. So for our last one, this is also a higher degree polynomial. And if I pull out a 3a, then I'm left with an a squared minus 48 divided by 3 is 16 equals 0. Now, notice that this one right here factors again because it is a difference of 2 squares. So it will be a plus 4, a minus 4. So all of those special factors we learned don't go away. They keep on piling on each other. So now I have 3 factors, which makes sense because I had a cubic. I set each factor equal to 0, and I get 3a is 0. 0 is one of my solutions. -4 is one of my solutions, and +4 is one of my solutions. And that is the end of 7.4. And this is Mrs. A, and may God bless your day.